Welcome to Here's How We Get There. It's the daily show filled with conversations about business and mental health in a down-to-earth style with real-world language. Now let's dive in with your co-hosts, Kenneth Shark Kinney and Trey Tucker.
All right, Trey. So we had a big story of all things come out with Elmo, something you and I often talk about offline, never. But Elmo put a story out there that really sort of resonated with a lot of people, put out a message on several of the social channels and just said, how's everybody doing? Well, this Sesame Street puppet, who, as far as I know, is not a clinical therapist, doesn't have
Yeah.
a PhD in psychology or anything like that. This was not Dr. Phil asking, how you doing? But basically he just asked, and there was a huge amount of traffic, if you will, with people just kind of unburdening themselves to Elmo. So, well, one, can you explain what in the hell Elmo really is? And then two, why do you think people, took that time to really kind of let people know how they were doing?
I mean, on the deepest level, it's really sad, honestly, because this is how desperate people are to unburden themselves, and they may not have somebody that actually cares enough to really ask them how they're doing. Most of the time we ask each other how you doing. It's meant to be more sort of pleasantries, but it's rare somebody that really takes the time to say, no, like really, really, like how are you? So number one is desperation for that kind of attention and care, but also I think there's a level of nostalgia, because we see a character that takes us back to the safety of our youth, and times were simpler, and we kind of just let our guard down a little bit more. And then also the level of anonymity there. So, for example, people I've read, I'm not encouraging this, but I've read that people are spilling their guts to Chat GPT because they know it's quote unquote listening, but they don't have to fear the judgment of whatever they're saying to Chat GPT. And I think probably some version of that with Elmo as well. What do you think?
It's sad. I think it does again kind of continue the exposure of how lonely the digital world is, how lonely the social media world truly is when you peel back between what friends are versus what friends on a social channel are. I think it's pretty sad. I do think it also exposes that there's a lot more sadness and anxiety and frustration out in the world than anybody ever shows. We talk about mental health, we talk about anxiety and all these things, and sometimes it's comical because people overdo it when you know that they're not really stressed in the same ways that many of the generations before had. But at the same time, it's real to them. And, if you peel back away the curtain, it's a lot tougher for people to deal with than we know. And I think that, to your point about asking somebody, how are you really doing? Sometimes people don't really, they don't even take that bridge. And so I think for anybody, pick up the phone and call a friend, call a family member, call a neighbor. You've got somebody out there that cares for you. It's not because you found an audience on Twitter.
Yeah.
And then somebody could get back to me, explain to me what Elmo is, other than a red puppet. I'm not even sure what kind of animal that's supposed to be. So this show was sponsored by the letter A today. So take that, FCC.
Thank you for joining Shark and Trey on the Here's How We Get There show. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show and visit here'showwegetthere.com. That's here'showwegetthere.com.